Hi, everyone. This story is sent by my friend, Mercy G, so let's start. My name's Tom. When I was young, I used to visit my uncle during the summer and help him with the farm animals and duties which I liked, because I'd visit the one horse we called Mary. She was a nice horse and never had any problems with her. Gentle and really tame. Spend nights in the barn with her and a few others, but she was my favorite. I remember her being so excited when my mom and I would roll up down the road, and she'd come running to greet me at the gate, and I'd have to walk her back to the barn. The one summer my mom dropped me off at the gate, but she wasn't there to greet me, which was weird. When we went to the house, my uncle came walking over and told me the news that she was ready to give birth in the next few days, so she was taking it easy laying in the barn. After I settled in and had supper with my uncle while my mom left, I went to check up on her, and when I approached her, she wasn't her usual self, more aggressive and secluded, which I understood when a horse was giving birth, but she seemed very off. The next few days I kept a close eye on her. But one morning, I had the stress of finding her dead in the corner of her kennel. I was saddened to see her such a way. I approached slowly, and that's when I seen it, her baby she gave birth to. My uncle came to pick it up and take it to the other side of the barn, to let it get its legs. There was something off with it, like it had some form of deformity about it. Its hair was grayish-black, the mouth was wider and eyes looked like they were red, swollen and sort of inside out as it were. My uncle wanted to put it out of its misery, 'cause the poor young thing looked like it was suffering. It whined like it was in pain, which kept us awake for the first few nights. But after doing some convincing, I managed to get him to let me take care of it. I had a soft spot for this thing. I wanted it to live and fight, thinking it would grow out of its condition. That's what I hoped for, at least. That whole summer I sat with it, feeding it, but the poor thing wouldn't take any food. It just played around whining even as I would brush its mangled. Some of it would just come off. After a few weeks it started to develop sores all over its body. But what surprised me was that it was growing quicker than any horse my uncle had encountered. Even he noticed it. After the first month of June and beginning of July, it had doubled in size. It was an adolescent and standing on its own, but the sores were getting worse. I couldn't really tell if it could see or not, but I was happy that Mary's baby was getting better, it seemed. Kind of. Around mid-July, something had started to happen. The chickens had started to produce rotten, spoiled eggs. Soon after they would die, the cows would give pink and red milk, which was obviously blood, and died not long after. The two other horses died as well, and my uncle's corn crops dried out, completely ruining his season. By the end of July, all animals within a few miles were dying off, and all other farmers' crops were gone. No one could explain anything, what was happening. But me and my uncle had the real reason sitting in the barn. The horse by then was fully mature, which was utterly impossible. Its swollen eyes crusted off and became almost normal, but stayed red. Its pupils black but red all around. It never ate, never slept, just gave off the smell of death, and never took a step, occasionally looking around the barn, but that's it. It was a dirty secret we had to keep, 'cause if the other farmers in the vicinity found out, then my uncle would be the one to blame. By the end of August my uncle had decided to abandon the farm and move on back to the city with us, and leave the horse, assuming it wouldn't go anywhere, and just do what it kept on doing until one morning, my uncle had a call from my mother, saying she was 5 minutes down the road, when there was a crashing noise. sitting at the table while the two were talking, and I went to look outside the window, and couldn't believe it. The horse was walking through the field casually. And I slapped my uncle on the shoulder, and he turns around seeing what I was seeing. He hung up the phone without a warning, and we both ran outside to the front porch. We watched the horse walk over the field, and into the trees. My uncle runs to the kitchen cabinet, and pulls out a double-barrel shotgun and stuffs his pocket with shells. Running back outside, as I follow closely behind him, cutting over the field. And we make our way into the tree line looking for the horse, but it was nowhere to be seen. After a few minutes of running through tree branches and bushes, we came up to the road and couldn't find the horse anywhere, looking both ways and across the field into the neighbor's dead dry crops, but nothing. We look behind us, down the road, seeing my mother's car coming. We start making our way towards her, as my brother held the gun on his shoulder, and suddenly, we see her come to a sudden halt, the brakes squeaking, and slightly turns to the right. We watch on, seeing what was wrong and why she just stopped. The horse had appeared seemingly from out of nowhere. It looked like it was from out of nowhere, or maybe our eyes were just getting to us playing games, but that wasn't it at all. We see the horse looking more pale and gaunt than ever as it slowly approached my mother's car, looking at her, and then just makes its way down the road as if nothing had happened. We start into a sprinting form, making our way to my mother while keeping an eye on the horse, which was prancing down the road lightly as it looked side to side. As we approached the car, I see the look of fear on her face, shocked and nearly cold to the touch, trying to speak, but the only words that escape her mouth were, "What the hell was that?" I hug my mother, feeling her entire body tremble. I look over her shoulder at the horse almost out of sight, and my uncle glances at me. "Yeah, know what, Tom? I never should have listened to you. I should kill that horse the second it took its first breath." "Why?" I asked. He wipes the sweat off his brow, and swings his shotgun down towards the pavement and looks at me. "'Cause what I think, that right there was Death Horse, and we raised it." I look at him confused, wondering what he was talking about. He always said a bunch of nonsense for no reason, just to get a laugh. But then it hit me. "You mean that was, yep, we're damned now." I hope you all liked the story. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.